Hello and welcome back to another episode from Old Frames Gaming. I am your host, BK, and today's video is going to be bringing you the third and final round from our July meetup where we met for Premodern at Dragon's Den. And this match is going to feature Matt on his version of The Solution versus Colin on Dead Guy Ale. Let's jump into the deck list. And here we have Matt's version of The Solution. You're going to see a lot of the usual suspects here with Lightning Angel, Fire and Ice, Lightning Bolt, Silver Knight, some graveyard control in Phyrexian Furnace, and then some board control with a couple of counter spells, Disenchant, and some card draw to round it on out. Let's take a look at his sideboard. So Matt's sideboard has some fairly good inclusions for some of the decks that we see on a regular basis at Dragon's Den. He has the requisite Pyroblast, Hydroblast, and COP Red for those particular matchups. He's got some graveyard control in Tormod's Crypt, a singleton Sabo's Web, presumably to fight against the Oath decks and the myriad of lands that they have that can affect. Overload and Annul to help with Stifle Knot, and then Annul in particular to help with the Enchantress matchups. Let's take a look at what Colin's playing on the night. And here's Colin's Dead Guy Ale list that he played on the night. Colin is playing some creatures in Nantuko Shade, Hypnotic Spectre, and Knight of Stromgold to help beat his opponent down. He's got some board control in Vindicate and Rancid Earth, which is an interesting choice because it also has that extra little tag on there where you can deal some damage to some creatures. And he's playing 4 Swords to Plowshares and a Singleton Diabolic Edict, alongside a singleton Seal of Cleansing. He's got some disruption in the form of Gerard's Verdict and Duress, and then he's also packing 4 Wastelands. Let's take a look at his sideboard. And Colin's sideboard is including some of the usual things you would expect to see in here. He is also well prepared for the Reanimator matchups. He's packing a couple of Engineered Plagues for the Elves and Goblins matchups, presumably. He's got some additional Disenchants and Seal of Cleansings in the sideboard to help him in those Enchantress matchups, as well as Honorable Passage, because I guess he too fears those red decks that we see a lot of the time. The 2 Black Vice in here seems interesting. I did not get an explanation from him on the night about that, but I would be curious what it would be going forward. Let's jump into the action and see what happens. And here we join our players in round 3. Matt is going to be on the left-hand side of your screen, and Colin is going to be on the right. Colin is going to be taking a mulligan to 6 cards, and Matt is going to lead off because he won the die roll. Matt's going to start on Flooded Strand and pass back to Colin. Colin's going to open up on Swamp and pass the turn. Matt's going to crack Flooded Strand and go looking for an island. Maybe he has an opt he wants to play on the end of the turn. Getting a good shuffle in here. Presenting to Colin to cut. Matt goes ahead and takes his turn. So he hammers down a Shivan Reef and says go. Colin takes a look at a fresh card off the top of his library. And he finds, I believe that is a Tainted Field. And he's going to play Gerard's Verdict, trying to get a couple cards out of Matt's hand. And Matt has the answer in Mana Leak. So he gets 1 card at least. Colin passes the turn back to Matt. Matt takes a fresh look and then passes back on over to Colin. Looks like we found a Knight of Stromgold and a Caves of Koilos. It's for Hypnotic Spectre. That one also meets a Mana Leak. Colin keeping up the pressure here. Matt doesn't find a land. So on Colin's turn, he's staring pretty hard at that Rancid Earth. And he's going to hit it. But Matt appears to have the answer. Oh, no he does not. I'm sorry. He has found an accumulated knowledge, so Matt's going to draw a card. Shivan Reef's going to go to the bin. Matt manages to find a gemstone mine. That has been my one complaint about this deck, is that the mana base is so difficult to work with sometimes. But when it does pop off, it's pretty nice. So here Colin looks like he's getting some clarification on Gemstone Mine and how that land works. But it appears he's drawn a Vindicate. And please forgive me, I'm not great with some of the new art on some of these cards. So if I catch one wrong, let me know in the comments. So he's going to attempt to Vindicate the Gemstone Mine, and it looks like that is successful. He passes a turn, and Matt finds a Plains. Passes back. Just can't seem to get ahead on mana. So Colin's found the Swords to Plowshares. But we're going to opt to play an Intuko Shade right now. Matt has the Swords to Plowshares for it. Now Colin's trying to keep track of his life total. There we go, 23. 22, sorry. So Colin says go. Matt untaps. He finds an Adhikar Waste. And we're going to play a Morph Creature. I'm betting that's an Exalted Angel. So Colin's found a, it looks like one of the Strixhaven alternate art cards. I think that's Duress, but I'm not 100% sure. If you know, let me know. So he fires down a Knight of Stromgald and passes the turn to Matt. Don't know that Matt's found anything helpful just yet. Of course, that knight has protection from white, so that's going to be problematic for Swords to Plowshares. Matt just opts to pass the turn. Colin's found his fourth land. He opts to play another Nintuko Shade. Matt doesn't have an answer for it just yet. Colin passes the turn. Matt takes a look at a fresh one off the top. He's going to morph a second creature. Colin's coming into the red zone with the Nintuko Shade. Looks like he's going to pump that for the full 5. He's going to send Matt to 12. So that's a hit for 7. Matt finds a Silver Knight. And he's coming in with 2 2/2s. Might as well. Colin can't pump that Knight of Stromgold, and he can't give it first strike right now because he's tapped out. So he's just going to take 4 and go to 17. So Colin's going to untap here. Looks like he finds another Swords to Plowshares. You gotta love these gold border cards. Pretty nice. So he's going to get rid of that Silver Knight. Matt's going to gain a couple life. So we're going to pump that Nintuko Shade up to a 5-4 and then attack with a 2-1 as well. Matt's found a Chain of Vapor, so he's going to bounce that Nintuko Shade back to Colin's hand. Looks like he's only going to take 2 this turn. Just going to send him back down to 11. So Matt untaps. Still having mana troubles here. He's going to come on back into the red zone for 4 more damage. Colin has an answer for at least one of them in Swords to Plowshares if he so chooses to deploy it. He's decided he's just going to take the 4. We find a Wasteland off the top. So he has been very, very successful in stifling Matt's mana production for nearly this entire game. And then Matt has just had an abysmal time drawing any. Colin's going to redeploy Nintuko Shade. Looks like we're going to play Duress. Matt is going to Swords to Plowshares and Nintuko Shade in response. So we have Disenchant, Lightning Angel, Lightning Angel, Lightning Bolt. So all the stuff stranded in his hand with the exception of that Disenchant requires red, and he has yet to find it outside of that gemstone mine that Colin dispatched earlier in the game. So we're going to get rid of Lightning Bolt here. Colin passes the turn back. Matt doesn't even hesitate sending his 2/2s back into the red zone. Looks like he's going to give Knight first strike and block one of the Exalted Angels and take 2 off the other one. Colin thinking this over. Doesn't want to stumble. Going to go ahead and Wasteland that Adhikar Waste. Colin's studying whether or not he should go ahead and get rid of that last creature with the Swords to Plowshares. Looks like he's going to come on into the red zone with that Knight of Stromgold and pump it at least once. Twice. So that'll be 4 damage. Sending Matt down to 7. And he passes the turn. Matt has found an opt. Doesn't look like that top card is going to be very good, so we're going to take a look at the next one. And he finds a Flooded Strand, so we're going to be able to find at least one more land. He goes ahead and passes on back over to Colin. Colin takes a draw. I believe that's a seal of cleansing, but it's hard for me to tell. Colin's going to come on into the red zone. Going to pump it up 2 more, so a total of 4. So Matt should be going to 3. Doesn't look like he's found the answer there either. Matt passes Colin the turn back. He manages to find another wasteland. Not super useful at the moment, but maybe down the road. He's going to go ahead and target that flooded strand and force Matt to use it. So Matt's going to go to 2. We find another plains. Colin cracks into the red zone with Knight of Stromgald for another turn. So Matt going to be forced to block here, unless he's got some kind of answer in his hand. He's got Fire Ice, so he's going to tap the Knight of Stromgald in response to the declaration of attack and draw a card. Matt lives to fight another day. Colin goes ahead and deploys his own Seal of Cleansing, just in case. Matt finally finds his mountain. He's going to go ahead and come on into the red zone with that morph creature. And that's going to become Exalted Angel. So he's going to crack for 4 and gain 4. Going up to 6. Looks like there's a little bit of discussion about how morph works. Likely that Colin here is wondering at what point can he play Swords to Plowshares and still not take the damage. So it looks like he's going to go ahead and Swords to Plowshares the Angel. So Matt's still going to go to 6. And I'm not a judge either, so I don't know how that's actually going to work. So Matt passes the turn back. Colin looks like he's found another duress. He's going to go ahead and deploy it. See what those last 2 cards are. It looks like we have a Shivan Reef and another Lightning Bolt. Colin's going to take the bolt. And he's going to crack on in for 4. Send Matt back down to 2. Matt untaps, takes a look at a fresh one off the top. And the answer is not there. So these guys are going to shuffle up and go to game 2. Colin takes the first one. Matt's up against the ropes. Let's see what happens. Okay, we're joining these players in game 2. Matt is going to be on the play, and he has taken a mulligan to 6 cards. I believe that Colin has remained on 7. And Matt opens up on an island and passes the turn over to Colin, who's going to play a swamp and likely go to duress right off the bat. Alright, so our hand consists of Exalted Angel, Accumulated knowledge. Add a card weighs Shivan Reef and accumulated knowledge. Colin's studying that card there to see exactly what it does. This is one of my favorite cards in Premodern, for better or worse. Colin being reminded that he can't take a creature with duress, so he opts to take the AK. And he passes the turn back over to Matt. Matt takes a look at a new one off the top and lands his Shivan Reef. And he passes the turn back over to Colin. Colin finds the Caves of Koilos. Staring pretty hard at that Knight of Stromgold. That'd be pretty tempting in this spot. He's going to deploy it. And tell Matt, you can go. Looks like Matt may have something fancy up his sleeve on the end of the turn. He's going to play that AK and draw 2 cards. Then he gets his one for his turn. Looks like he was trying to play Battlefield Forge to play a Lightning Bolt and not that Fire and Ice. Alright, so Colin draws a new card. He plays another Swamp. Looks like he's got a Hypnotic Spectre and a Rancid Earth, or 2. He decides to go with Wasteland. So Wasteland is going to target Shivan Reef. He's thinking about playing that Rancid Earth now. He's going to do it. Whew. Stifling those lands like that, just that mana production not even being available is so tough for this deck. Matt does manage to find a mountain, which he plays. And he quickly passes back. Colin deploys another Rancid Earth. This time on the island. Matt finds a Battlefield Forge and says go. Colin finds a Tainted Field, plays it, and he's going to deploy Hypnotic Spectre. And then we're going to go with Duress. Matt's going to go ahead and dispatch the Hypnotic Spectre. And it looks like Chain of Vapor is going to be the only legal target here. So Colin chooses the Chain of Vapor. Passes the turn back to Matt. So Matt's going to go ahead and deploy Exalted Angel as a morph. Cross our fingers and hope we find that 4th land. Colin appears to have drawn a Vindicate here, which is pretty good. Knowing that that's an Exalted Angel, may want to go ahead and take care of that. He's going to go with Nantuko Shade instead. And pass the turn over to Matt. Matt takes a look at a new one off the top. Couldn't tell if that was a mana leak or accumulated knowledge. Looks like it was an accumulated knowledge, so Matt's going to Ancestral Recall here. He finds Shivan Reef. Colin, on his turn, finds a swamp off the top of the library. He plays it, so we got plenty of mana to feed into that shade. He's debating on that Vindicate, whether or not it's useful to go ahead and take care of that known quantity of Exalted Angel. He's gambling here that Matt's not going to block that shade. He just pumps it twice, doesn't get greedy. So that's 4 coming into the red zone. Matt's going to go to 14. Matt's going to opt on the end of the turn. Hopefully set up a draw for the next one. Doesn't look like that one makes the cut. We untap. Take a look at the top card. Matt finds a Plains. Alright, here comes Exalted Angel into the red zone. We're going to morph that thing, come across for 4. Of course, once it connects, Matt's going to gain 4 and go to 16. He passes the turn to Colin and says, "Go ahead, sir." Alright. Exalted Angel is taken care of with the Vindicate here. Colin crashes in for 3-4 with the Shade. Sending Matt back to 12. Matt finds another Flooded Strand. 4 mana. Looks like we found a Lightning Angel. He's going to go ahead and hit Colin in the air with Haste and Vigilance for 3. Such a cool card. I just wish it was better than it is. I had memories from college when that thing was actually really, really good. Highly sought after. So Colin giving it some thought here. He's found a Rancid Earth. Game nearly tied up. All right. Shade's going to make it into the red zone. Colin looking to give it +6/+6. So it would be 8. Just going to put Matt at 3. Matt cracks his Flooded Strand. He's looking for an answer. He finds an island. Looks like he's got at least a Silver Knight in his hand, and I couldn't tell what that other card was. Probably a Mana Leak. Alright, there comes Grim Lava Man. He's going to go to 1 and deploy that Silver Knight. Come in for 3 in the air. So Matt's got a couple blockers. But Colin keeps finding creatures. Alright, so we're going to play Rancid Earth. Mana Leak meets it. And it looks like the writing is on the wall. Matt's going to concede game 2 to Colin. Congratulations to Colin on the win. Well played game, gentlemen. I want to thank everybody for tuning in to this episode from Old Frames Gaming. Thank you to all the returning viewers, all the new viewers. Jump in the comments. If there's something I can do to improve, please let me know. I'll be happy to try it. I'm a novice at this, but I love doing it. If you're into old school gaming, we would encourage you to check out The Orb. Joe runs that channel. I will link it in the description from the video. So check that out. He does all kinds of old school content over there. Thanks again for coming out, everybody, and stay tuned for more videos from Old Frames Gaming.